This is Lusaka's major forest reserve known as Forest 27. According to early city planning survey records, Forest 27 was long identified as the city's underground water recharge zone, which is approximately 1,800 hectares in size. In order to preserve its crucial role in sustaining acceptable water levels, Forest 27 remained a gazetted area through successful governments, starting with the United Nations Independence Party UNIP, led by the founding father of the nation, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, led by Dr. Frederick Chiluba, Levi Mwanawasa, and Mr. Rupia Banda, and later the Patriotic Front under Mr. Michael Sata. All these presidents respected the ecological science behind Forest 27, and they protected the forest from encroachment. As an underground recharge center, Forest 27 has for years been protecting the headwaters of the Chalimbana River, which drains the city and flows in the Chongo River, situated south of Chongwe town. After many years of observing and honoring this solemn oath with nature, the situation was not to be the same following the death of the fifth Republican president, Mr. Michael Chilufya Sata. Political greed and selfishness set in, and Forest 27 was degazetted under the leadership of former President Edgar Lungu, desecrating a long-held sacred pledge to preserve with nature. As land was shared and development commenced, the water table and recharge cycle became affected. Today, the Chalimbana and Chongo rivers are showing signs of drying up, resulting in a water crisis in Chongwe district as well as some parts of Lusaka.
They gazetted it very silently because, I don't know, there wasn't sufficient public awareness or public notice made to the effect of degazetting it, because if that had been made, as the royal establishment would have responded and opposed it. A number of senior government officials, also ministers, permanent secretaries, directors of agencies and departments of government, they have their wonderful plots here, and they've put up amazing structures. Amazing structures. You'd be shocked that these structures are rising up in Zambia, a country that the president says is, a country whose treasury, according to the president, has depleted.
Elijah Simbai, Senior Chieftainess and Commission's legal advisor, and Her Royal Highness Princess Cholwe have been fighting to protect this valuable forest. Council Simbai said this forest is an important water catchment area that provides invaluable social, economic, and ecological services to the people living in the area and the country at large. He said the forest is not only threatened by extractive pressures, but also development stemming from the ever-growing population.
Development must come. By all means, let it come, but let it be environmentally friendly to the people. There is no benefit in bringing development by cutting off the life support systems of the population, only to develop the area to be enjoyed by people who will be dead anyway. So let us first protect and safeguard lives before we can bring development. And if this development is going to be rushed and is going to be marred by a lot of underhanded deals like this one, that development is even no use, is of no use to the country at large, because it's development only for the benefit of a few families in the country, which are heavily entrenched by public powers or connected politically. But let places like these be maintained for the betterment of the environment and also the quality and standard of the health of the population. There is no need for us to cut off the life-saving mechanisms of the natural order or natural habitat, simply because we want to squeeze everything in Lusaka. Let Forest 27 and Forest 26 remain protected. If there is no more land, Lusaka City Council cannot offer any more land within the land gazetted to them. Fair enough. The Lands Act allows them, sections 16, 22, and 25 of the Lands Act, as a corporate. So they are a person at law, they can contract with other councils. If they still want more land and they feel they don't have any more land, they can speak to Chongwe City Council. They can buy land from Chongwe City Council and put it on title in their name.
Princess Chalwe and Council Simbai took us on an adventure to expose some of the illegalities that have been happening in the area.
Another issue that's come across to us now is the fact that we're getting big commercial farmers, the white farmers, now claiming Chalimbana as their personal property. As you can see, we now have a private property sign that trespassers will be prosecuted. And there is a court order there for those that prosecute. And as you can see, Chalimbana is just a stone throw away. And now where we are here, these are the riverbanks. And now whoever put this sign here is now claiming that Chalimbana is now their personal property, and which is against our constitutional law about public places and public rivers, or accessibility to public areas, and the river being one of those. And Chalimbana is not a private property river, it is a public river, so that everybody can have access to it.
If you look at the date here of when this order issued, it was on 3rd August, and the time when we're supposed to go, all interested parties were supposed to go and argue the matter, was supposed to be the 17th of August. Proper procedure should have been before the 17th of August, all interested parties were supposed to be served with this order, so that on the 17th of August they go to argue and they oppose the order. And there are several grounds to oppose this order. One of them are constitutional provisions, like Article 153 of the Constitution itself, which says that river frontages cannot be fenced off, cannot be bought, cannot be leased. And is fencing off this river frontage. And the stakeholders here, the people who depend on this river for their water, would have opposed this application, the granting of this order, on those grounds. But what the lawyers did was to sit on this order long enough. They only put it here beyond the 17th of August, when the date of hearing was already passed. There was no more platform for these people to go and defend themselves, present their rights before the court. This is clearly an abuse of the judiciary, an abuse of the court process by people who know the law, people who should have guided better. And I don't know how it can be normal that one can have a right claimed against people they don't know. Because if you're going to claim that you have a right to something, you must claim it against someone, some definite person. This order was issued against persons unknown. How are you going to serve them? How are you going to create dialogue with them? How are you going to have conversation with them? The law now requires that before you can effect any court process, you can commence any court process in our courts, you first have to write a demand letter which you must serve on the people you are suing, and they must sign for it. But if you are saying you don't know the people, who are you going to address the letter of demand to? Who is going to acknowledge that letter of demand? So you can see that this is trying to abuse the judiciary to acquire some status of legitimacy, so that illegalities can be carried on with the blessing of the Lord.
The forest has not only suffered the pain of concrete structures being built on the land, but other illegalities such as dumping of garbage. And the question is, who is to blame for such delinquency?
I would very much doubt if High Command is aware of this. Maybe between the working hands at the bottom and High Command on top, there is an officer or two in the middle of the chain of command here, who feels it is a sheer waste of money that he can pocket to transport this garbage to the designated dump sites by the council, and he thinks he can just serve himself the convenience of dumping it a kilometer or so away, and pocket the rest of the money intended for the fuel to carry it the long distance to that place, so that he can have a nice weekend. But you see, now a nice weekend is going to be the altar on which the livelihoods of thousands of people will be sacrificed. And this is the thinking of an officer in the public service who may have taken oath to protect lives in this country. And there seems to be very little consequences around these issues, so people just move along, break the rules as they please, and get on, because no such conduct has been visited with grave consequences that can send a warning to those of us who may contemplate engaging in such.
There is no doubt that the imminent and complete loss of Forest 27 Reserve to urban development poses serious threats to water security in Lusaka. We visited headmen in Senior Chieftainess in Commercial's chiefdom who revealed the trials the people have been facing due to this development. They narrated that residents in the area are now faced with the struggle of sharing the little remaining water in the Chalimbana River with their animals.
So maboho tina maboho atatu plus yameni kambele ya person. Yameni wanatukumbila ko 1 bao division, 2 wanatukumbila ko ni maboho. 3 yameni kambani yanga person yameni na bula 2011. Nyupa meni na kumbisa boho. But at least it will be 668 mumuzi. Manja against 3 boho. Which is not enough. Sitili wokwane na maboho atatu. Manje siji zankala ntawi itali Mzambia chaba to boho jasipompa manzi. Oh, tieni tuone 40 ni achi yani. Muzacho sa kwa muzapiza ntawi ngati pipe, ntawi ngati pump sisi ngabwino. Manje muzachita raise ndalama mwamba kupita mufuti bane tieni tisongi kani tieni kwacha kani 20 kwacha. Kuti mukagule spare part ija ya kuti mugule muingise futi boho. So maboho nao proper survival nayo kulibe.
Revelations from traditional leaders were alarming and quite plainly very disturbing.
Muno mumwezi mwanga nina mayusi bambiri maningi ni bambiri manje bafutika kaidi manzi kulibe manzi tilichabe na boho ya mayusi imozi chabe manje mayusi ni bambiri, so sibakwanira bose kuti bayambe kusebenzesa boho imozi bamine banayi sibakwanisa kulibe ngombe zivutika ko kumwa manzi zivutika chokwa manzi mumana mulibe.
And Henman Mkankaula later took us to witness how Chalimbana River suddenly changes into Chalimbana Desert.
Where we used to wash, drink water, including our animals. So we used to get fish from here. And our animals were very healthy because we had enough water. That was during 6 days. From that time, when these Boers started damming the river, this is why we have come up to this point of having no water. It was a very, 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 very healthy river. If you can even see the bridge. The bridge is dry every time. When during rain season, the water just passes through because of having no enough water. We don't know what the government can help us. Right up from the source, Chalimbana source, people have started damming. So this is why we have come to this situation of having no water in Chalimbana River.
For as long as government and key stakeholders fail to strengthen and implement measures that prevent encroachments and overexploitation of the forestry resources, forests will continue to disappear, leaving people with slim chances to survival. It is quite a puzzle that government will cry about climate change on one hand when it is the former that is giving rise to the latter. The new Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Elijah Muchima, after being ushered into office, halted with immediate effect or development projects taking place in Forest 27 in Lusaka in order for government to find out how plots were acquired within the reserve area. But the big question is, hasn't the deed already been done? Is there any hope that Forest 27 will ever be restored to its original state? How much damage has already been done to the natural underground recharge system? And is it reversible? It remains to be seen whether the new Dawn administration, through the Ministry of Lands and the newly created Ministry of Green Economy, will help to bring sanity to the environment.